In this video, I'm going to give you 5 tips to help you grow your business. Now, these are the exact same strategies that I use in my own business, as well as that I advise my clients and my students to use. So, whether your goal is to hit your first 10K a month, or 50K a month, or 100K a month, or even more, these strategies can help. Let's get to it. So the first thing that you need to understand when it comes to growing your business is that most businesses are held back. They're stuck or stalled, not because of their product or because of their service or because of a lack of funding or because of market conditions, but rather simply because a lack of marketing. You see, marketing is the single most important element to your business's success because it's marketing's job to help bring you new leads and new clients and new customers. And without those, you don't really have a business. This is why it's incredibly important to have those basics down, to really understand the concepts and the principles behind marketing and really what makes people act the way they do and what makes them buy what they buy. We're talking about things like consumer behavior and buyer psychology and essentially all the head stuff that goes into what actually causes somebody to take action and to make a purchase or to decide to work with you. This is why the very first thing you need to do is really dial in your ideal customer avatar, or ICA for short. Essentially the makeup or the composition or a fictional representation of your most perfect potential customer. Talking about things like their demographic details like age, gender, income, occupation, their geographic details like what city or state or province or country they live in, and their psychographic details like their attitudes and their values and their beliefs and their lifestyles. All the things that kind of make up the person when we think of that. Why this is important is because all of your marketing is going to be hinged on this ideal client or ideal customer avatar. So you really need to understand who they are and what makes them tick. You need to understand their pains and their problems and their frustrations so you can take your business and then communicate the value that you provide. Essentially, you can communicate how your business is there to help them solve their pains and problems. Your business is the solution to their problem. But I digress. The point here is that if we want to grow your business, and that's the goal of this whole thing, well then you're going to need to get in front of more of your ideal people with the right message so you can get more traffic, you can get more attention, and you can get more leads. But leads alone aren't enough to grow your business, which is why I want to thank Pipedrive for sponsoring this video. Pipedrive is a powerful tool that I use in my own business that makes following up and nurturing and converting leads into clients and customers easier than ever before. Every call and email are automatically tracked, and repetitive and annoying tasks like sending routine follow-up emails, well, these can be automated using their workflow automation, which saves you a ton of time and a ton of headache. Plus, my favorite feature is that you can start simple or you can customize your entire pipeline and all the stages involved to really visualize your entire conversion process, no matter how many steps it takes to close the deal. But by far the best way to see the true power of Pipedrive in your business is to give it a try yourself, which you can do by clicking the link in the description box below or visiting erhart.com/Pipedrive. This link will allow you to try Pipedrive free for 30 days and then it'll give you 25% off for your first 3 months. Alright, so let's move on to the next point, which is better marketing. Now, in order to really understand what better marketing is and what it looks like, we first need to take a look at bad marketing. Bad marketing is spreading yourself too thin and trying to do everything and trying to be everywhere. Like much of the popular advice out there is preaching right now. The reality is that being everywhere and doing everything for most businesses is simply not realistic. Even if it were, it's also exhausting and overwhelming and ineffective. Because the reality is that your ideal client avatar, that ideal customer that we just identified in the previous step, well, they're not everywhere, they're not doing everything, so there's no need for you to be either. Rather, what you need to be is focused in on the 1 or 2, maybe 3 channels where they're spending the majority of your time, and then go there, ignoring everything else. Bad marketing is also not being clear about your value, about your message, or about your offers. This happens a ton when businesses try to get creative, and they focus and really prioritize creativity over clarity. And this is a recipe for disaster because when we get too creative, well, it sounds great to us, but our customers often just end up getting confused. Confused customers don't buy. Another issue or another symptom of bad marketing is not being consistent, not showing up repetitively in front of your ideal customers or clients in the places that they're spending their time. When we do this, our brands, our businesses, well, we become forgettable and we're quickly replaced with whoever else is making the effort to show up consistently. Now, depending on what statistic you research or which one you look at, kind of the rough range is somewhere around 7 to 14 touch points are required for a client to have experience with your brand before they make a sale. In some cases, it's upwards of 30 touch points, depending on just how sort of discerning the client is and depending on how expensive or high ticket the offer is that you're selling. Regardless though, whether we're talking about 7 touch points or 14 touch points or 30 touch points or more, it's a whole lot of touch points. And this is why it's fundamental, it's crucial, it's mandatory even, that you need to be consistent. You need to show up again and again and again, provide more value, create more content, continue to nurture and to value the relationship so that when the customer or client is ultimately ready to make the purchase decision, it's you they decide to go with. All right, so now that we've identified the bad marketing, well, what's the flip side of this? Well, for starters, it's not being everywhere. It's not doing everything. Like I said, choosing 1 or 2, maybe 3 platforms to focus all of your energy on, really doubling down on marketing yourself well there, rather than spreading yourself thin and just doing a terrible job in a whole bunch of places. Next, it's being crystal clear about who your ideal client is and crystal clear on the value that you're providing them, which essentially boils down to your messaging and to the offer that you're making to them. And then lastly, it's making it easy for them to know, to like, and to trust you by showing up repetitively, being consistent and continuing to provide content and to provide value to them so you stay top of mind and you increase those touch points at every possible opportunity. All right, let's move on to the next point, which is a pretty powerful one and one that's had profound impacts on my own business, my own life, as well as all of my clients and my students' businesses. And that point is the power of 80-20, also known as the Pareto principle, which essentially states that 80% of your results are going to come from just 20% of your efforts. Now, if you've never heard this before, it sounds like total crazy talk, but the reality is it's very true. 80% of the roads get about 20% of the traffic. 20% of the roads get about 80% of the traffic. 20% of your clients or customers are going to account for around 80% of your revenue. 20% of your headaches are going to come from 80% of your customers. 80% of your customers, 20% of your headaches. 20% roads and 80% traffic. Carry the 2, square root of 4. What's it divided by? Something about Pythagorean theory? The takeaway point is that it's small things that make a big difference, and really, it's only a few things that are making the most impact and the most difference in your business. So you don't need to be doing everything, you don't need to be everywhere like we've already covered. Rather, you need to do an 80-20 analysis on your business in order to find those tiny things that you're doing that are providing the biggest results, so you can do more of them and less of all the other stuff. In my experience, most business owners, most entrepreneurs, well, they major in the minors. They spend a lot of their time doing things that make them look busy, but aren't actually driving the business forward. And if they're really honest with themselves, or if I have the opportunity to be really honest with them, we'll take a good hard look at the business, at their activities, at their operations, and really quickly, we're going to be able to identify, simplify things down, to find the things that they should be doing, that they are doing, but probably not as much as they should be, so they can do more of them and get way better results. The solution here, or the fix to the problem, is to spend a lot of time doing check-ins. To ask yourself repetitively, is what I'm doing right now the single most important thing I should be doing? Or is what I'm doing moving me closer to my business goals? Or is what I'm doing the single best use of my time right now? And more often than not, you might be surprised to find the answer is no. But that's okay, we can just recalibrate and get back on track. Most of my work as a business coach is spent simplifying, stripping down, and eliminating a lot of the fluff and a lot of the kind of trivial work that really doesn't need to be done, so that we can streamline the entire process and spend more time doing the things that actually drive the business forward, grow revenues, and increase profits. So seeing as this point is just so important, let's build on it more in the next point, which is all about having laser focus. You see, it's one thing to do an 80-20 analysis on your business and really identify those drivers, those main needle movers that are moving your business forward. It's another entirely to focus in on them and to exclude everything else. You see, when you do your 80-20, when you take a look and you identify all the things that are really not contributing to your business, well, it's your job next to eliminate them. Whether we delete them and completely get rid of them, whether we delegate them to somebody else, or whether we develop some kind of a system to put in place so you don't have to do it, regardless, they've got to get off your plate. Also, this is a perfect time to keep that entrepreneurial shiny object syndrome in check. More often than not, and certainly I've seen enough examples of this over my last 10 years of doing this kind of work, well, more often than not, the reason that a business isn't growing isn't because they're not doing enough stuff, but rather because they're doing way too many things. There's this common myth or common fallacy or common belief that entrepreneurs have that if I'm successful here, well, I can be successful over there. And then if one product or service is selling, well, we should introduce more products and services. When in reality, what we should do is more of what we've already been doing. The cliched statement is, what got you here won't get you there. But the reality is that what got you here may very well be what gets you there. And in fact, I'd almost guarantee it, especially if your business is doing less than $1 million a year. What got you here is probably going to be what gets you to that $1 million a year mark. After that though, it's anyone's game, and we might need to get a little more creative and adjust our business model or add more services or products. But up until that point, it's incredibly crucial to stay focused. I have countless examples, my own businesses included, of where one marketing channel or one traffic source, like say YouTube, leading to one offer, like say coaching or consulting or a course, with one ideal target market in mind, like an online entrepreneur. Well, this one simple traffic source, one simple model, one simple customer avatar, this can lead to 6 figures, multi-6 figures, 7 figures, even multi-7 figures, just by being really simplified and really straightforward. I also have countless examples of a ton of different traffic sources, going to a ton of different business models, serving a ton of different people, really equating to almost no revenue and very little profit for the person who's trying to juggle all of these balls and serve all of these different things, which again is exhausting and totally ineffective. So if you're stuck right now, if you do want to grow, if you feel that you've stalled or plateaued a little bit, the answer is probably not more. It's probably less, but better. Focusing in on one offer, one market, one traffic source, really doubling down there till you get your results. So speaking of results, speaking of traffic sources and business models and all that, let's get a little more tactical here, because I want to share with you what I believe is the single most valuable marketing strategy you can be using in your business right now if you want to grow, and that is video marketing. First of all, there is no doubt that content marketing works. It allows you to establish your authority and your expertise. It allows you to provide value and to show that you actually know what you're talking about and to help people in advance of any form of financial transaction, which builds a ton of trust and a ton of rapport. So if content marketing works, well, what's the best kind of content? That has to be video, because next to being face-to-face or in person, video is simply the most persuasive and influential form of communication we have available. It's better than just audio, it's better than text, because you can see someone, you can hear their voice, you can sense their body language, and you can really relate to them on a deeper level than you can through a post or through even a podcast. But then if we take that one step further, we agree that content marketing is valuable, video marketing is valuable, well, where's the best place to put our videos? Unsurprisingly, it's YouTube, and this is for a number of different reasons. The first of which is the obvious one, in that YouTube is the world's second largest search engine, second only to Google, and Google owns YouTube, so arguably it's the first, or at least, yeah, you get the picture. This means that you can create content and your ideal customer avatar can go out there, they can search for it, and they can find you. This is an amazingly powerful tool that all the other networks really don't have working for them. But it gets a little bit sweeter, in that if you can understand the strategy behind YouTube, behind the YouTube algorithm, you can actually work with YouTube to have them actively suggest your content, to take your videos and to then go out there and put them directly in front of your ideal customer avatar, even if they're not searching for it. And that's where the magic really happens. Now, the common objection to someone starting YouTube is typically one of two things. The first of which is a fear of being on video. And I get that, but the reality is that if you want your business to grow, you're gonna have to be uncomfortable sometimes. The second objection is that YouTube's too crowded, it's saturated, and it's too competitive, and there's no chance that my videos would ever get seen. And to that I say, hang on just a second. You see, if you're really honest with yourself and you do some proper due diligence and some market research, I think you'll be shocked, pleasantly surprised at just how few of your direct competitors are active and engaged on YouTube. Now, by direct competitors, I'm talking about people that offer exactly what you sell to exactly who it is that you sell. And again, if we're looking at these numbers of direct competitors, people selling exactly what you sell to the exact market you're trying to sell, I think you'll find that your market, well, there might be 5 of your competitors on YouTube, maybe 10, maybe 50, maybe 100, and 100 competitors in the grand scheme of things, it's really not that much, especially when we compare it to other networks like, say, Facebook, which has 60 million active business pages. That's a lot of competition. Point of the matter is, if you want your business to grow, you're gonna have to get comfortable being uncomfortable, you're gonna have to put yourself out there, and there's no better way to do it than through video marketing, and specifically on YouTube. This is why the next thing you're gonna wanna do is check out the video I have linked up right here on how to grow your business on YouTube and get your first 1,000 subscribers. So make sure to check that out now, and I'll see you in the next episode. Who is that person that you're creating content for? What are their pains and problems and frustrations and all the things they're trying to move away from? And what are their goals and their dreams and their aspirations and all the things they're trying to move toward?